Welcome to Iraqi Dinar News, where you receive real and authentic updates about the Iraqi Dinar. If you want to stay informed with moment-by-moment developments, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Today's update focuses on a key message coming from Iraq's financial authorities regarding the stability of international payments, trade continuity, and the preparedness of the central bank to respond to changing economic conditions. While the statement may appear simple on the surface, the implications behind it are important for anyone following the Iraqi dinar and Iraq's broader economic direction. The core takeaway from this update is that international payments and trade are expected to continue without disruption. This is a crucial signal, especially in a global financial environment where stability and confidence are everything. For Iraq, maintaining uninterrupted trade flows means that imports, exports, and cross-border financial transactions are functioning normally. This is not just a technical detail, it is a foundational requirement for any economy that aims to integrate more deeply into the global financial system. When international payments operate smoothly, it indicates that banking channels are active, correspondent relationships with foreign banks are intact, and there are no immediate liquidity constraints affecting cross-border settlements. For the Iraqi dinar, this stability reduces short-term volatility risks and supports a controlled monetary environment. It also reassures investors, businesses, and institutions that Iraq is capable of managing its external financial obligations without disruption. Another important part of the statement is that the Central Bank of Iraq has reviewed potential risks and confirmed that it is fully prepared to act quickly if conditions change. This highlights a proactive approach rather than a reactive one. In modern central banking, the ability to anticipate and respond to risks is just as important as maintaining current stability. This preparedness suggests that the central bank is closely monitoring several factors, including exchange rate pressures, inflation trends, global oil prices, and geopolitical developments. Iraq's economy is still heavily influenced by oil revenues, which means that fluctuations in global energy markets can have a direct impact on government spending, foreign reserves, and ultimately the value of the dinar. By stating that it is ready to act quickly, the central bank is signaling to markets that it has the tools and strategies in place to maintain control. These tools could include adjusting foreign currency auction mechanisms, intervening in the currency market, managing liquidity levels in the banking system, or implementing regulatory measures to stabilize financial flows. For Iraqi dinar followers, this is a significant point. It indicates that any changes in the currency environment are likely to be managed carefully rather than occurring suddenly or unpredictably. Stability and gradual adjustment are generally preferred by central banks, especially in economies that are still developing their financial infrastructure. The statement also emphasizes that Iraq's financial system is stable, prepared, and carefully managed to handle both current currency conditions and future challenges. This reflects a broader narrative that Iraqi authorities have been working to establish over recent years, one of controlled reform, institutional strengthening, and cautious economic management. Financial stability is not just about maintaining the current exchange rate. It involves ensuring that banks are well capitalized, that liquidity is sufficient, that payment systems are functioning efficiently, and that there is confidence in the overall financial structure. When these elements are in place, it creates an environment where economic growth can occur more sustainably. For the short term, this update suggests that there are no immediate disruptions expected in Iraq's financial operations. This is important because uncertainty often leads to speculation, and speculation can create unnecessary volatility in currency markets. By providing a clear message of stability and readiness, the central bank is helping to anchor expectations and reduce the likelihood of sudden market reactions. In practical terms, this means that businesses operating in Iraq can continue their activities without worrying about sudden restrictions on payments or trade. Importers can access foreign currency, exporters can receive payments, and financial institutions can carry out their operations with a reasonable degree of confidence. For individuals and investors who follow the Iraqi dinar, This stability may not translate into rapid or dramatic changes in the exchange rate. Instead, it points toward a more controlled and gradual approach to any potential adjustments. Central banks typically avoid abrupt changes unless absolutely necessary, as such moves can disrupt markets and undermine confidence. Looking at the medium to long term, the emphasis on preparedness and risk management is particularly important. Iraq is still in the process of modernizing its financial system, improving transparency, and aligning with international standards. These efforts are essential for attracting foreign investment, strengthening the banking sector, and supporting economic diversification. One of the key challenges for Iraq has been balancing stability with reform. On one hand, the country needs to maintain a stable currency and financial system to support economic activity. On the other hand, it needs to implement structural reforms that can improve efficiency, reduce reliance on oil, and create new sources of growth. The message from the central bank suggests that it is aware of these challenges and is taking a cautious, measured approach. By focusing on stability and preparedness, it is laying the groundwork for future reforms without risking short-term disruptions. Another aspect to consider is the role of foreign reserves. A stable and well-managed financial system typically relies on adequate foreign currency reserves to support the national currency and facilitate international transactions. While the statement does not provide specific figures, the confidence expressed by the central bank implies that reserves are at a level that allows for effective intervention if needed. This is important because foreign reserves act as a buffer against external shocks. Whether it is a sudden drop in oil prices, changes in global financial conditions, or regional instability, having sufficient reserves enables the central bank to maintain stability and protect the currency. For Iraqi Dinar watchers, it is essential to understand that statements like this are not indicators of immediate revaluation or dramatic currency shifts. Instead, they are part of a broader communication strategy aimed at reinforcing confidence and transparency. Central banks around the world use such statements to guide market expectations and signal their policy stance. In the context of Iraq, where speculation around the dinar has often been fueled by rumors and unrealistic expectations, a clear and measured message from the central bank is particularly valuable. It helps to separate factual developments from speculation and provides a more realistic perspective on the country's economic trajectory. The emphasis on careful management also suggests that any future changes in currency policy will likely be gradual and aligned with broader economic conditions. Factors such as inflation control, fiscal policy, economic growth, and external balances will all play a role in shaping the direction of the dinar. It is also worth noting that stability in the financial system can have positive spillover effects across the economy. When businesses and consumers have confidence in the currency and banking system, they are more likely to invest, spend, and engage in economic activities. This in turn supports growth and job creation. At the same time, maintaining stability requires continuous effort and vigilance. The global economic environment is constantly changing, and emerging markets like Iraq must navigate a range of external and internal challenges. The central bank statement indicates that it is aware of these dynamics and is prepared to respond as needed. From a broader perspective, this update aligns with the ongoing efforts to position Iraq as a more stable and reliable participant in the global economy. By ensuring that international payments and trade continue without disruption, Iraq is reinforcing its economic connections and building trust with international partners. For those following the Iraqi dinar, the key takeaway is that the current focus remains on stability, preparedness, and careful management. While this may not provide the kind of dramatic developments that some may expect, it is actually a positive sign of a maturing financial system. A stable and well-managed financial environment is a necessary foundation for any long-term currency strength. Without stability, any gains in value would be difficult to sustain. Therefore, the emphasis on control and readiness should be seen as a constructive development rather than a limitation. As always, it is important to approach developments in the Iraqi dinar with a balanced and informed perspective. Economic progress takes time, and meaningful changes in currency value are typically the result of sustained improvements in underlying economic conditions. This update from the central bank reinforces the idea that Iraq is moving in a direction that prioritizes stability and resilience. While challenges remain, the focus on preparedness and risk management suggests that the country is better equipped to handle uncertainties and adapt to changing conditions. In conclusion, the message is clear and consistent. Iraq's financial system is currently stable, international payments and trade are functioning without disruption, and the central bank is actively monitoring risks and prepared to respond if necessary. For Iraqi Dinar followers, this means that the environment remains controlled and managed, with an emphasis on steady progress rather than sudden changes. If you want to continue receiving responsible, factual, and up-to-date insights on the Iraqi Dinar and Iraq's economy, make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay informed. And as always, remember that this content is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice.